Welcome to my channel, and today's video is all about International Maritime Organization or IMO. Let me introduce myself Kranti Kumar. I am sailing as a second engineer and I am giving my class 1 examination in next few months. And in this journey I not only want to prepare myself for the examination but also want to help you guys out to clear your examinations as well as early as possible. So today's topic is about International Maritime Organization IMO and its structure. And in detail we will be talking about what is assembly, what is council, what is committee, and what are the various councils or committees which are present, how many member states are present in this, all these things. And apart from that, we will also be discussing about convention, what is convention, treaty and resolution, amendments, acceptance. All these things will be discussed in this video, and please stay tuned for till the video ends. So now we will be discussing majorly about the IMO structure, and IMO mainly consists of assembly, council and committees. From the bottom of the table we will be discussing about the committees first. Majorly committee is nothing but there are separate wings for each of the aspects in the shipping industry, like for safety and for pollution related things and for legal issues and for facilitation in ports and etc. and technical cooperation. So let's see what are the five committees which are there at the bottom of the IMO structure. First one is the Maritime Safety Committee. It majorly involves in the work towards the safety of the ships and prevention of accidents of the ships. Next is the Maritime Environmental Protection Committee. This mainly focuses on environmental protection and from the ships, whatever the hazards or the environmental related hazards that are being possessed by the ships are taken care by this committee. And third one is the Legal Committee, which majorly involves in legal issues related to ship and port or ship and other countries related things. Fourth one is the Technical Cooperation Committee, which helps other member states or other countries which are present in the IMO for improvement of their technical knowledge on technical aspects related to the maritime industry in order to help them to achieve their environmental goals and safety goals. Fifth one is the Facilitation Committee, which helps in harmonizing the paperwork or harmonizing the what you call paper procedures between ports and between countries, so that it would be much easier for the ships to enter from one country to the other country. These are majorly the five committees, and these committees, upon their investigation into incidents and upon their suggestions from member states, can draft some of the conventions can be drafted, and this draft is then proceeded to the council. Council is the executive organ of the IMO, and it has mainly consists of 40 member states, and these 40 member states are of more interest in maritime industry, and these 40 member states will be meeting every year to discuss this related drafts on the conventions. And after going through the drafts, after scrutinizing these drafts, these are being presented to the assembly, which is meeting every 2 years. And assembly mainly consists of all the member states. 176 member states are there till date, and 176 nations, and representatives from these 176 nations will be meeting every 2 years, in which these drafts of the conventions which have to be coming into force are being discussed and being adopted. And now after this mainly discussing about three organs of the IMO, now we will be looking into how these conventions are being adopted and then ratified and then coming into force. So next, let's move on to the next part of the video, how these conventions are being adopted, ratified and come into force. Let's see in detail. So as we were discussing about convention lot of times in the last IMO structures, so we will be starting with what convention is. Convention is a legal agreement which is done between nations, like various member states in the IMO. It can be between any number of member states, but it is specific in nature, majorly concerned with safety or environmental protection or legal issues or facilitation or technical cooperation. And some of the examples of the conventions are mainly SOLAS, MARPOL, Load Line. You can take STCW conventions. These are the famous conventions which have been adopted, ratified, came into force, and also has been accessions of these conventions in the later state. So, and there are protocols of these conventions as well. There are amendments to these conventions as well. So we will be looking forward in this video about this all these things: what is ratification, what is adopting, and what is accession. So now let's start. So if we think of like a convention, these conventions basically is a draft which have been made by Maritime Safety Committee or Maritime Environmental Protection Committee. This draft, after scrutinized by the council, is being submitted in an assembly session, and in this assembly session there are 176 nations representatives being sitting in the 2 years assembly meeting, where these drafts are submitted to every one of them, and they will be looking through these drafts, and upon their maritime interest, each country will be signing these drafts, saying that they will be taking this draft to their parliament, and they will be looking forward to discuss in their parliament to implement in their national law. By signing these drafts, these representative of the countries or the member nations have adopted the convention. So now, after the adoption of the conventions, the representatives of the nations will take this draft and submit them in their national parliaments. Or, for example, in India, it's a national parliament, and through legislative assemblies, they'll be discussing of their maritime interest uh, on regards of this convention or the draft, and they'll look forward and they'll discuss, and if they find it interesting to their personal interest, maritime personal interest, they will be implementing, they will be signing this draft from the President of India, and it will be sent to the IMO Secretariat, saying that this convention will be ratified and will be implemented in their national law. So this is how the ratification of a convention takes place. So after the ratification takes place, now the nations can implement this law in their ports and in their flag state ships. After this ratification have been completed, IMO will be looking forward and will be looking how many member states have ratified. Like, out of the world's tonnage, there will be either two criteria. Out of the 176 nations, if two-thirds of the nations accept the convention, ratifies the convention, then it comes into force. Or else half of the tonnage, it depends on the weightage of the convention. If the convention is very strict, then it depends, and they will be deciding how much tonnage of world's tonnage should be ratifying this convention to come into force, enter into force. So as we can see, if you see into any convention, the adoption date and the entry into force dates are quite far by. So entry into force only happens after certain amount of tonnage ratifies the convention, or certain member states, like certain number of member states ratifies the convention. This is how a convention comes into force. After the convention comes into force, also there have been several nations which are not ratified this convention, but in the later stage they might look forward, or they might be interested in ratification of this convention, or implementing the convention in their national law. That has been done by the accession. This is what you call as accession. Like, some member states, they initially don't ratify the convention, but in the later stage they will be interested in this convention, looking after the advantages what it has. So this is what is called as accession. After the entry into force also, member states can ratify the convention, and they can implement the convention in their national law. This is accession. And now next, moving forward, we will be looking now on to protocol and amendment. Protocol is a legal instrument by the IMO which is used for making a major amendment to a convention, or add a chapter to the existing convention, and it also requires the same procedures as the convention itself. Like, it is submitted in the assembly, and it also has to go through adoption, and then it is also ratified by the member state, and then it comes into force. Whereas amendment is doesn't require all these things, and it's just a small or a minor change to the convention, and it directly comes into force after the MEPC or the MSC committee gives out. This is how what the difference between major difference between protocol and the amendment. Apart from this, member states also give some resolutions or recommendation. Resolution is nothing but a recommendation from the member states upon implementing in their national law, which have improvements, which have added the improvements to the maritime conventions, earlier already existing conventions, improved the safety or environmental protection or any of this sort, which are not legally binded, and these are recommendations from member states which can be implemented to improve the safety or environmental protection. So I hope you understand what are the major IMO structure, and how council works, how assembly works, and how a convention is being adopted, ratified, and comes into force, and how these resolutions and protocol and amendment are being used as a tools to improve the conventions, to keep it up to date with the advancement of the technicalities in the industry. So I hope you like the video, and if you like the video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for much more interesting videos like this in future.